In this video, we are going to look at how to prove the quadratic formula used for solving quadratic equations or quadratic expressions. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel after watching so that you can receive every update from this channel. Now, quadratic expression is any expression in this format: ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So every expression of this format qualifies to be called quadratic expression. In this expression, the x is the unknown variable. So sometimes these are constant and the values can be given, and you'll be asked to find the values or the value of x. In this case, we always get two values of x because of the x squared. So every expression in this format is called a quadratic expression. Now, a general formula, which is called, in most cases called almighty formula, is used for solving this expression. The b here is the coefficient of the middle term. The a is the coefficient of the x squared. Then the c is the value of the constant. So let's see how we can derive this quadratic expression or the almighty formula from this expression. Now, with this expression, the primary aim here is to make x the subject of this whole expression. So the first thing to do in this expression to prove this almighty formula is to move the term c to this side of the equation. So we have ax squared plus bx to be equal to minus c. So minus c, this is the first step. First, you move this c to this side of the equation. The next step is to divide through all the terms by the coefficient of the x squared. So the x squared, the a is the equivalent of the x squared. So divide through all the terms by the a. So here by a, here by a, then here by a. So we get x squared plus b over ax to be equal to minus c over a. Next, you find half of the coefficient of the middle term. So here is the middle term. The coefficient of the x is called the middle term. So find half of that. Then you square it. Then you add it to both sides of the equation. So we have x squared plus, now we have half of, or let's say b over 2a is the same as half of the b over a. X, then you have plus, here you have b over 2a squared. We find half of this expression or the coefficient here. We square it, then you add it to both sides of the equation. So you add it here, then you add it here too. So you have to be equal to minus c over a plus, so b over 2a all squared is like b squared over 4a squared. Now here you group complete squares. So the complete squares is the terms here that have squares in there. So just eliminate the b over 2ax, then group these complete squares and equate it to this side of the expression. So you have x squared plus b over 2a all squared to be equal to minus c over a plus b squared over 4a squared. So in grouping like terms, or let's say in completing the squares, or let's say grouping perfect squares, you have x plus b over 2a all into bracket squared to be equal to, now you derive or make this one have just a unit denominator. So this one has a unit denominator, has 4a squared up here. So this one goes in here, 4a. So the 4a times the c will have minus 4ac. Then this one goes in here, everything. So here you have plus b squared. The next step is to, let's continue from this side, is to, find the square root of both sides of the equation. The reason being that you want to make x the subject here. So you find the square root of this side and that of this side too. So the whole of this expression in square root, then this side too, all in square root. So this one in square root, we have this one cancelling this, but this one will be plus or minus this. So we have x, let's go from this side, have x plus b over 2a to be equal to square root of, let's say we have b squared minus 4ac over 4a squared. 4a squared. So now we want this side, or the x alone, to be at the right side or the left side of the equation, because we are making x the subject from this method of completing of squares. So we have x to be equal to, this one will come here, so we get minus b over 2a plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. 4a squared here. So 4a squared in this case. Now this root, the square root of 4a squared, can be simplified. So we can get the expression minus b, let's have minus b over 2a plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac, like this alone. So this one is not part, so this side alone over 2a. So in this case, the square root only affect the b squared minus 4ac. Now since this one and this one have the same denominator, we can merge it to have x to be equal to minus b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So this is what we call the quadratic formula, or the almighty formula, and this expression is used in solving most of the quadratic equation or quadratic expressions. This method is what we call a method of completion of squares. So we complete the squares of all the expression to get the general or final almighty formula, which can be used to solve every quadratic equation or expression for the value of x. Thanks for watching. It is plus or minus here because when you use plus, you get a different value. When you use minus, you get two different values. So for these quadratic expressions, we always get two values of x. Don't forget to subscribe, as we are going to solve quadratic equations with this formula in the next videos. Thank you.